Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Let's thank our members, overlanding 11B and COTS for being the full crew members. All the Foxbet members, all the Fishbet members, thank you, it helps a lot. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. So today we are flying out again the Harrier GR7, an amazing aircraft that really kinda, I mean, it supplied the UK with an aircraft that was in need in the high tier UK kind of part. I still think there is some needs in there that will be supplemented with the two tornadoes, the IDS and the ADV, that we are going to talk a little bit about it later. But still, it's an aircraft that I think it has its problems, especially obviously in its BVR capabilities, which is none. And obviously it doesn't have a radar. And there are some features missing. For example, this aircraft in real life had a MAW system, which is the missile uh, approach warning system, I think it's called, or the MAWS. I think that's an acronym for that. But still, it is very, very capable. It has an amazing cannon, as you see here, and the cannon is way better than the Aidens, man. And I just really wanted to fly it again. Just to talk a little bit more about the Harrier, because we did a video last week about it, or when the patch was dropped. I think it was last week or the week before, I think, because the patch, it's going to be 2 weeks this week since the patch has dropped. So yeah, but it's an aircraft that, as I said, it is one of those aircraft like the F5 and like the J7. I think it's a very good example of that as well, that are very easy for somebody to actually learn how to use a top tier aircraft, you know. It is obviously a jet, it turns well, has great missiles and a great cannon. That's all you need to dip your toes into this type of gameplay, you know, of fast paced and jets and flares and missiles. And something happened there, the game just froze. I don't know what was happening, but still, it's an aircraft that it really is a very good option for you if you want to actually get into top tier and you don't know how to, you know, because it won't have any type of very difficult systems, you know. You will have only the missiles and the cannon, and it's a jet, and it's fast and turns well. It has of course, the ability to take off vertically, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to. And so it's kind of a very good aircraft for that, you know. There are some features of it that I really enjoy, and it makes me, for me, much more enjoyable to fly than the F4K and the F4M, which are the FGR2 and the FG1s, the British Phantoms, you know, which is just the nimbleness of the aircraft, you know. The F4s, they were very good back in the day when, I mean, the most amount of maneuverable an aircraft would be like an F5, for example, and or even the MiG-23M back in the day. But now we have aircraft that have better radars than the F4, the British F4s, better turning, better engines, they're faster, accelerate faster, anything like that. And it turns out that the F4s, they become kind of a very okay aircraft to use. It's not bad in any way, you know, but it is not, you know, easy to fly sometimes, and it kind of became a struggle bus to some people, you know. The missiles are not the greatest, everything is not the greatest thing, you know. It's like the F4E, it's a very good aircraft, but it's not OP in any sense, obviously, but it is not also like easy to fly against F14s and MLDs and stuff like that. And the Harrier is just easier to do that. You can evade missiles with it. You have a lot of flares in chaff, which is always a good thing. You have a lot of missiles. I mean, it's just 4, but they are AIM-9Ls, and you have very, very good cannons, like proper, really, really good cannons. Doesn't have a lot of ammo, but yeah, it has its problems, as I said. One of them being obviously the lack of BVR, and just a radar in general can be a little bit. I mean, you are kind of a little bit handicapped. So there's no reason, for example, to climb in an aircraft like this. I know a lot of people like to fly low anyway, you know, but an aircraft like the F-14 and the MLD and the Mirage 2000 and multiple aircraft like that. They are, if you fly high, it's normally better, at least in my opinion. You know, you can get a lot more range on your missiles, and you can get 1 or 2 BVR kills basically every single match if you play it correctly. And then it's just a matter of obviously the cluster fur that it always happens in the middle of the match. But still, those aircraft can do everything. I mean, they're not perfect, but they can do basically everything, you know. And the Harrier cannot do that. But the Phantom cannot do that as well. It's kind of only alright in the BVR, and then in the dogfight it's just complete trash, you know. And the Harrier, it's very, very good. It even, I think you would win in a raid fight against probably every aircraft that you see in that tier. I will do some videos on dogfights and stuff comparing some aircraft, but still it's an aircraft that it can deal with everything. But it has its problems, as I said. It doesn't have the radar, as I said, and missiles, but also the speed. I think the speed is something that a lot of people just forget about it. And with the speed, there is one thing that always comes to mind, in my opinion, since like the MiG-15 was added and the Sabres. I think once you have the speed, the max speed, or especially the acceleration together with a max speed, you have the choice of choosing your target. Of course, with missiles, this can be a little bit changed, you know, as the Harrier is an example of that. You don't need to be that fast, but you have kind of a long-range missile compared to other IR missiles, and with that you can actually just reach out a little bit more than other aircraft, you know. But the thing is, if you are slow, you normally won't be choosing your targets due to just be choosing your targets. You normally will choose targets due to their being slow or distracted or something like that. You can see this particular effect happening a lot on 9.7 matches, for example. If you compare like a MiG-19, F-104, aircraft like that, they can deal with a lot of 8.7, 9.0, 9.3 aircraft that are Sabres and MiG-17s and MiG-15s and stuff. It kind of becomes of a thing of the MiG-15 always has, it is always on a defensive position, and it's not choosing the target that is trying to attack. It's just waiting for somebody to attack him, and then going in a defensive, and then trying to reverse, trying to do something. Then you can actually win against, like a Sabre can win against a MiG-19, for example. And this is basically the same idea that you need to have in the Harrier. It's not an aircraft that you will be choosing your targets freely, you know. Normally you will get people that are distracted with other targets, or people that are just flying slow for some reason in general, you know, especially with the 9Ls. This can be very much an example, you know. This match is a very good example of this. I was flying together with the team, you know. I didn't fly alone in any way, and you will see that I normally am not choosing the target. I just change targets like constantly. I'm changing targets. Why? Because I don't have the speed. I don't have the max speed to actually get any of them. Something that you don't have to deal with when you are flying an F-14 or a MiG-23 or a Mirage 1000 or something like that. The point is that an aircraft like this will never be as good as that, okay? It's not something, the Harrier GR7 is not an aircraft that I would say it's the best aircraft in the game. Not by far, because of that, you know. It's the same principle that I use to talk that a lot of people say that the J7E, for example, it's very good. And it's the best aircraft in the game. But for me, simply being very good in a dogfight and having good missiles is not what makes this aircraft the best aircraft in the game, you know. The aircraft that is going to be the best in the game needs to be fast, accelerate well, be nimble, have a good BVR, have a good radar, have a good IR missile, have a good cannon. It has to be kind of good in everything, you know, because depending on the situation, you will need that. And as you see here, I'm just kind of flying around and trying to get kills. As you saw in this furball that was happening, I didn't have any like proper line of you know, aggressively knowing like the choosing target effect. I mean, I was just choosing targets that were closer to me and coming to me, basically, always on a defensive. And yeah, as I said, aircraft like this will never be like normally in an offensive position like other aircraft that you see. Normally they will be in a defensive, and you have to deal with things like that. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's not an aircraft that will make you just completely stomp everybody. You really need a team that is collaborating a little bit, or an enemy team that is collaborating with you a little bit, for you to get like 5 to 6 kills, you know. So that's why aircraft like the F5, the J7, the Harrier GR7, even the MiG-21Bs, or even a future F-16A, for example, without BVR, will never be the best aircraft in the game, you know, because they cannot do anything. They cannot choose what target they want specifically and destroy the target with effectiveness, you know. As you see, multiple missiles that I shot they were missed, and that's basically the only ability that I have to reach targets that are far from me, or at least like away from me from like, I don't know, 1 kilometer plus, you know, because beyond that I only have the cannon. So it's something that you have to consider. Still, it's a very good addition. I still think that we need the Tornado ADV, okay, to be more of the BVR kind of thing for the UK, but still it's a gap that needed to be filled with the Harrier GR7. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I see you guys on the next one.